how are you feeling with your Achilles and everything after your first meet, and how long do you think it'll be till you start getting on other events?
I feel really good after the first meet and after just the whole long preseason. It took me a long time to get where I am, or where I was Friday. So just after Friday, I was a little sore, but I couldn't be more grateful just to felt how I felt and being able to compete again. And then for the other events, I am coming back pretty fast, I would say. Floor is going to definitely be the last event that comes, but definitely soon.
Stay with Konnor. This weekend, taking the show on the road, the teams that you guys are competing against, how good is that to see it early in the season like you guys are? You answer too, Liv, but just good competition right out of the gate and kind of being tested on the road away from home. You got some new girls that are going to have to get used to that.
I think it was definitely good to start off at home, kick off the preseason against, a good team, but it really prepared us for this upcoming meet this weekend because we don't know how it is. It's a brand new season. Everybody has a different team than last year, so it's going to be really exciting and really fun, but definitely interesting to see how everything plays out for all the teams.
Yeah, I feel like starting off the season in the PMAC is always such a joy. Just being around the Tiger fans and the atmosphere was insane on Friday night. And I feel like competing this weekend at the quad meet, it's going to be great for the team. It's going to be great to do the quad format just to learn what that's like for the freshmen. And I feel like it doesn't really matter what team's on the floor, whether it's, Oklahoma, Alabama, Florida. It doesn't matter who it is. If we do our best, then we're going to win.
Is it a platform meet this weekend? Do you know? It is. All right. So just kind of, again, getting those things early in the season, it's almost too early that you can kind of have that muscle memory for postseason, but is it good to just have one of those? I know you guys always try to do the PMAC or the River Center downtown to kind of replicate that, but is it a difference for y'all to have a platform meet early in the season and kind of get adjusted?
Well, last year we had a platform meet in the beginning of the season, and I feel like it really helped for postseason, just learning. And it is a bit of a different bounce on floor. It feels a little different on the equipment, but it's always good to get back out there on podium and compete a bit.
Olivia, if I could just, your decision to come back this year and have another season here, and that combined with how do you feel like Friday went competing in two events?
Yeah, Friday was great. The best way I can describe it is just complete joy. I had a blast, and I feel like the decision to come back was one of the best decisions I've ever made. I feel like I have to seize every moment because I know it could be my last. It's my last year of eligibility, and I just really want to make the best of it and have the best time with this group of girls because we're never going to get this team back, and we're a special group of girls.
Konnor, just tell me about the rehab for your Achilles. It seems so fast, and for you to be as, effective as you are currently, I guess. Just how did that rehab go, and how hard did you really attack it?
I attacked it extremely hard. It seems fast from the outside, but for me it seemed extremely slow. I would go into rehab for 3 hours, 4 days a week during the fall, and plus classes on top of that. So it was definitely a struggle, but I had my mind set on competing this year, and so I just knew that's what I had to do to get back on the floor. And it did go pretty well, though. I mean, I worked really hard for it, but it did go in my way, I would say.
For both of you, I heard from Jay that there's more scrutiny on judges this year, and so maybe that would tighten up scoring. You guys ended up having, as it turned out, some of the best scores in the country. Second best team score. I think your floor score with some of the other gymnasts was tied for sixth and stuff like that. How did you guys feel that the routines were rewarded, in terms of how you thought you did in the scoring compared to what you've seen in the past?
Yeah, scores are always a tricky situation because they're out of your control, and you just got to go out there and try your best no matter what, and just be present in the moment with your team cheering, and you kind of just need to block that out if you don't get a great score. But I feel like if we just keep building off what we did Friday, we're going to be in a great position for the rest of the season.
Yeah, we know what we're capable of, and we know what a good routine is when we see it. Just like looking around, we see practice every day, and so when we go up there and we trust each other with our routines, like we know what a good routine is. So the score doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Like we know what we're good at, and we know what we're capable of.
I guess a question for both of you guys. Gio, freshman putting up Olympian numbers in her first meet. As a veteran group, how critical is she to the team, especially with Haley out right now?
Kaylin is incredible. I think that she came in with such a great mindset and she competes like a vet, and I really admire the way that she trained all preseason. It was just so admirable, even from a fifth-year senior's perspective. And I think with Haley being out, the best thing we can do is honor her with our actions, because she's honored us for all these years and she's competed so well for LSU. So I think if we just go out there and honor her and do our best, then it'll be great.
I second that statement. And also Kaylin, I was her club teammate, and then seeing her transition to college, it's been the same thing every single day. I mean, she was amazing in club, and she comes in with the same mindset that she had, and it worked for her, and it's just amazing to see how she did on the competition floor, because she knew what she needed and she got that, and obviously everybody saw how she did, so she's just amazing.
Yeah, Konnor, just kind of stay with that. I guess you were in that situation just last year, right? And like making that adjustment. So did you give her any extra advice, you know, and maybe this is how I approached it, use this if you want to, or kind of what is that challenge, you know, the whole Haley thing aside, just going from a freshman to a collegiate team, or sorry, from high school to a freshman on a collegiate team?
It's definitely a challenge, but it's a different challenge for everybody. I mean, all the freshmen, everybody has their own challenges, and so my phone's always open, my ears always open just for them to come to me and ask me questions. So I definitely like made them realize that, and so like if they texted me and had a question to ask me, like I'm gonna tell them like straight up and just like be honest with them and let them know how it works and like what works and what helps you just on during the transition, because it is a hard transition and you don't really realize that because you expect like butterflies whenever you come in, and it's not always like that. And so them just needing to realize that, but then also having the fun that they need to just enjoy gymnastics again, because that is also a struggle coming from club or coming from elite.
I don't know if you dealt with a lot of physical setbacks in your career, obviously, and come back very strongly from them, especially this time. How do you deal with those things? You try to have the same kind of approach every time, and how did it help you this time? Because it was I don't say miraculous comeback, but certainly you came back strong, very quickly.
This setback and injury was, I kind of took a different approach than my other injuries before. I mean, I've had 5 surgeries, and I kind of like was down on myself. So after this Achilles, like I kind of just sat in the room whenever I first tore it, and I was like, okay, like let me change my approach this time, because I don't need to be sad and like I don't need to be down on myself. Like I can come back and be there for the team, because I know like the team likes to have me in the room, and the team has my back now. And so just having the team there and supporting me, like that helped my mindset change during this Achilles rehab. So I'm really grateful for them, because they were just there for me the whole time, and that's what kind of like switched my mindset this time to make me in a better headspace.
Yeah, you said something that kind of triggered it to me. Are you enjoying it more? You know, like when you got here last year, I think a lot of that talk was, you know, liking gymnastics again, loving gymnastics again. And, you know, I always wanted you to smile more at the end of your routines and stuff. Are you feeling like you're enjoying it more?
Definitely. Throughout the whole season, I feel like each meet got more enjoyable, and like I had so much fun at the end of the season, and I kind of want to continue that throughout this season, because after the injury, like I could go down and be like, oh my gosh, I hate gymnastics again. But at the end of the day, like I just want to be happy, and doing gymnastics makes me happy, and so just continuing my happiness throughout the season and enjoying every single moment and meet.
And Livy, just one more thing about the decision to come back. I think some people, when they hear that, you know, you're not coming to hang out, right? I mean, you could be fully committed and it's a grind and all that, whether it's you or Haley or whatever. I mean, how much does that go into your decision when you're, you know, this is going to be, you know, challenging to do this again?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge to be a D1 athlete no matter what sport you're in. And I just think the daily grind is something that I'm going to cherish forever as a D1 athlete. I think that I'll look back at it, and it's just the early mornings with the team and the late nights and travel meets. Those are the memories that you're never going to get back. So I can actually get emotional over it. But it is such a special time, and it's something I'll never forget. And I'm just so happy to be back to experience it one last time with my best friends. And this is probably the closest a team has been, or at least I feel like I'm the closest to, these freshmen and the group of girls. And it's just going to be a blast going on the travel meets and competing with them this year.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, opening meet was great. I mean, I felt, as I said, Friday night, just overall, just a really good, solid start for us. And felt good about the way they conducted themselves. And really, the thing I praised them most about yesterday when we finally got back together was just their mindset and their approach and their level of attention to the task at hand was really encouraging. When you're not just opening a season, but you're opening a season coming off of last year and the banner thing and all the things that could have been distractions for them, they handled really well, and I just felt like they did a good job of being present. And doesn't mean we didn't have mistakes or that things don't need to improve and that we don't need to continue to identify all those things, but it means that it was encouraging to look like a team that at least for now is in a similar place from when they last competed. Scott had his hand up.
I don't know how little you looked at the scoring from around the country, but obviously your scores are very good. Y'all had the second best team score without Haley Bryant, and a lot of your individuals were way up there. So what does that say to you about the scoring as it is going to be this season? Because it looked like you did well.
Yeah, and I saw some other teams. I didn't see other teams' meets. I did see scores from around the country from some really good teams, at least teams that I believe are really good teams again this year, and so there was a bit of an erraticness to it. Like it seemed, it seemed lower in spots than I would have predicted around the country. But I don't know, man. It's just one of those things. I've told the team we've just got to stay. I thought they did a good job of not allowing that to creep into their mindset Friday night, and it's just got to be something that we do our best to ignore and focus 100% on what it is we're doing and the level that we know we can perform at, and let those things take care of themselves. I don't want them reacting to a score they believe is low. I don't want them allowing it to affect their morale. Sometimes when you do something that was one of your best and it doesn't you don't get the score you thought you would get, that can affect the morale, and it takes mature competitors to not be able to do that. So that's the challenge for us and for every team really is to set those things aside with the level of uncertainty that seems to be out there right now.
You guys are going to Oklahoma City for the podium challenge. Just what are some of the advantages of getting on a podium early and playing some of these top schools?
Well, these other schools were, with the exception, I think OU and Berkeley were on podium last weekend as well. So it has a little bit of an effect, mostly a positive effect. And the bounce is a little better, and landings are a little more forgiving. But there is an adjustment, particularly on vault. Your run can get a little bit off. You have to kind of get. So we have a podium training day to kind of get out there. It's good for us to do it anytime we can do it, just because when you get to the postseason, both at SECs and from semifinals on, we're on that thing. So we'll do it this time, and we'll do it again later in the season downtown. And so we like to take advantage of those opportunities. I'd love to be able to do it more. I would have loved to have been in Nashville or been in one of these places get on a podium as many times as possible. But really, for us to have a home schedule that's good. There's not a lot of flexibility now with the conference schedule. We really only get a couple weekends that we have to play with, and so it's more difficult than it used to be to find those opportunities. But yeah, it'll be great. I don't know if it's an advantage or disadvantage, but certainly having the experience is important as you get further down the line.
Can you talk about Livy's performance on Friday in 2 events and just the decision for athletes to come back? Some people say, well, why wouldn't they come back? But they've got to do that grind all over again.
Yeah. No, Liv did a great job. Liv does a great job anytime we've needed her. I think she's proven that she's able to go at a moment's notice. She did it on bars too. People don't even know that I made a change after the 15-minute touch and made her the alternate on bars, and she went cold and did a bar set in our 2-minute touch warm up, and was ready to go there too if something had happened. She's just very versatile. She's confident in what she's doing. Her gymnastics right now, the level that she's at is comfortable for her, and it was good to see her grow in confidence. I think that's the first time she's competed balance beam outside of an exhibition. I don't know for sure, but and I thought she did a really good job. She has a nice line and a good look. Gives a different look on balance beam than some other people do. She's her leaps are great, and she shows those 180 splits really well, and she did a great job. She's a serious competitor. She's always been in the mix, even when she hasn't been out there for us. She's been very relevant almost all of her career, and I've said before, I don't think she gets the credit she deserves sometimes in terms of the impact that she's had for us, because that role she played almost all year last year was extremely important. And if we had the equivalent of a sixth man award like they have in the NBA, I would say she probably would have been a favorite to win it.
Getting back to this weekend's meet, to challenge yourselves early in the season, what does that do for a team and confidence?
Well, hopefully it causes us to raise our performance level again. And one of the reasons you get involved in things like this is because you want to be tested by the best, and you want to be battle tested when you get to the end. And having been through big meets is what makes that possible. And when you do that, you win some and you lose some, but you get better regardless, hopefully. And so going against these great teams, they're all great teams with great coaching staffs and tremendous fan bases. And obviously Oklahoma, having won 6 of the last 10 national championships, is sort of the gold standard still that everybody is measured against. And so we're excited about the opportunity to go there and compete. We start on vault. We get a good. We've got the good rotation that we like, that we have when we're home, and so assuming that everything goes well this week in preparation, we should be able to go up there and compete hard and see what happens.
You guys have had some success with acclimating freshmen. It looks like Kaylin's just going to be the latest, right? I guess.
Yeah.
What do you guys, or what have you figured out to maybe make that transition better for everybody?
Well, so much of it is just about how when they walk in the door, where are they physically, and what their training environment was like at home, and is there any similarities to this? I think a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times, the level 10s have a little bit of an easier time adjusting, just because the time constraints are more close that we have are more closely mirrored by what the Junior Olympics. It's not called the JO program anymore. It's called the developmental program. But the level 10 schedules kind of lay out a little more similarly. That's a good word. And the elites, sometimes when they're used to competing 3-4 times a year and pacing themselves differently and training more hours during the week, it can be a longer adjustment. So I think Kaylin's done both, and she was an elite and then went back to level 10. And I just think she showed up physically in a really good spot. Her body felt good. She was ready to go. All of her skills were there. She had not suffered any kind of setback. And the other freshmen walked in with injuries or setbacks that had that had occurred towards the end of their club careers, and we had to kind of put them on a different pace. So I think that's as big a key to Kaylin's early success. But I don't think it really is not going to preclude the others from having a great deal of success too, because Lexi's Ice warmed up all 4 events and is ready to go, and Kalia's coming along, even though we're nursing her shoulder and being very, very careful with that. And Zoe, is rehabbing well, and the pace of her recovery is every bit as positive so far as what Konnor's was coming out of her Achilles. So I think the future's bright for all 4 of them, and I know that Kaylin's getting a lot of the attention right now, and deservedly so. But at the same time, I think we have a tremendous freshman class that's there top to bottom. And if you were at warm-ups, you saw Victoria Roberts warm up a handspring front pike half vault that would have scored well too. So we're in good shape as far as the future goes, and it's not just Kaylin. It's really all of them, and everybody's path and everybody's journey is going to look a little bit different. I tell them all every year, you draw it up in your head. There's the dream scenario. You want to come, and every freshman shows up thinking, I'm going to do the all-around, and this is going to be great, and we're going to do all these things. But rarely does that work out. I mean, it's just a rare thing to have it go exactly the way you draw it up and the way we draw it up. But you have to be nimble enough and flexible enough to be able to make those adjustments, and I think all of them are doing a great job with that.
Great performance on Friday, but what did you see from your team that you kind of feel like you need to improve on and work on heading into Friday's meet?
Well, we talk a lot. Every time we finish a meet, our first meeting back, we do a little thing called Well, Better, How. And we talk about what we did well, talk about things we need to do better. And it's really them talking. I'm listening. I want them to identify the things they did well and the things that they need to do better, and how they're going to go about it. Most of the time, the things that we talk about that we did well is in our approach, and the things that we need to do better are more about execution of skills and the way that we train it in the week leading up to it, and those kinds of things. And so I think, as I mentioned already, the approach and the mindset and the demeanor showed what appears to be a mature sort of veteran feeling team. Even though we had a lot of freshmen going out there, they behaved like they've been there before. Got to do it you can't take that for granted, but at least in the first meet they looked that way. And I think the execution things are the main places. We didn't land well on dismounts across the board. We had some good landings, but there were some that were not great, and some of the smaller details that we've just got to get ironed out. Got a little too amped up in warm-ups, and there were some nerves there and some things like that we just need to iron out. From an emotional standpoint, that just takes time, and it'll kind of work itself out. Early season, you always see that, and they all want to do well, and sometimes it can climb all over them early in the season and cause them to make mistakes that they don't otherwise make. And so you got to give them grace, and you got to let them talk their way through that and be able to work through it and just keep improving.
Thank you. I have 2 questions. One, what is this hour's Haley Bryant update?
Haley, we've made some significant progress. She, depending on how this week goes, and yesterday went well, she will be available at least on balance beam. I don't know that it'll go any further than that this week, but we have made some progress, gotten some good news from the docs. I just finished talking with Mickey Collins a few minutes ago. Her strength is good, so they're optimistic that we're moving in the right direction. And so if she does well this week, she'll be available at least on that event. But my guess is probably nothing else this week but that.
My other question was about Konnor. I remember talking to you after she ruptured her Achilles in Hartford, and obviously your heart goes out to any gymnast who gets really hurt. But I know you were really torn up for her because you thought she had a real shot to make the Olympic team, and she's such a talented gymnast. But to see, and probably the time you're probably thinking, how long is it going to take her to come back? And then obviously she's had a great recovery.
Yeah, and I was torn up for her, and it part of it was because you knew she wanted to make this pursuit, whether she was able to make the team or not. I was certainly pulling for her in every capacity. I just know everything she's been through, and I think that was part of why I cared as much as I did, and do. I do that with all of them, but I know things, that they've gone through, all of them, not just Konnor, and things that in their lives and in their careers that, cause people heartache and pain and things that they have to endure and push and come through. And I just felt like after the year she had last year, and she had seen success again and really seemed to be in a place where she was enjoying herself. I just thought that just kind of wasn't fun, to see that happen to her again. But I've been thrilled at the way she has attacked her rehab and come back. And there was a moment where I wondered what her reaction would be. But she's done a great job. She's not fully back yet. I mean, we're still adding things, but we got other people like that too. I mean, Alona's been through it in her rehab right now, and these things take their toll on these guys, and it's not just from a physical standpoint. It's mentally. They've been doing this sport for most of their lives. Most of them, by the time they get to be a senior here, have been at it between 17 and 20 years of their life, and so there's a real sort of emotional piece to and mental piece to those kinds of injuries that are serious, that set you back for a significant period of time. So I've watched a lot of them handle it. I think Konnor's done as good a job as any of making the most of her rehab opportunity, and we just have to keep hoping that we don't see any setbacks for her or any of the others that are recovering, whether that's Alona or Haley or Kylie or it's something that we're invested in these guys, man, and it's not just as gymnasts, and they're invested in each other, and they're invested in the program, and they want it, and there's just so much emotion that goes along with it. It's easy to just talk kind of transactionally about the physical injury and the rehab that goes with that and all that on the surface, but the reality is it's much, much deeper than that, and they feel for each other, and we feel it with them. When they're disappointed, we're disappointed. When they're hurting, we're hurting, and when I say we, I mean corporately, the entire team. And so it's a collective thing that we go through together. Is that it? Okay.